Hello, this is Assessment and Technology. Let me first start out by saying that technology and using that with assessments has changed drastically in the last 25, 30 years. It started out as a way to streamline assessments, improve efficiency, analyze data, and to be able to deliver assessments to a large student body. There needs to be some changes made if we truly want to use technology in our assessments. And we are going to discuss the opportunities and the challenges that using technology to assess our students has. Opportunities that present themselves for using technology is that students can show their knowledge and skills in varying forms with technology. They can make decision-making opportunities. Technology allows for flexibility. Technology allows collaboration between students, teachers, staff. Students have access to complex problem-solving skills. Enhanced feedback is allowed to students with technology. And innovation in recording achievements is our final opportunity. When students use technology, they are able to show how their knowledge and skills through all sorts of representations, including texting, video, pictures, and audio. Being able to access a virtual world through gaming allows for simulations from the real-world problems. Some examples include higher education students, for example, nursing students, medical students, veterinarian students. If they simulate an event through technology, they are allowed to see how it might work in the real world. Students are also able to use TEAs, which is what outside of Texas calls Technology Enhanced Assessments, in different forms, including peer-to-peer and self-assessments. Students also have the ability to make decisions about what is assessed and how they are assessed. This allows them to exercise more flexibility. Well, that's another one we'll talk about here in a minute. And they become advocates for their own learning, essentially. They work through e-portfolios and able to use control on their grades and other aspects of education. This one, flexibility, is a very good aspect of using technology to assess your students. I'm sure many of you have seen the wonderful opportunities of how educators can change the time, the length, and location of an assessment to meet the individual needs of students. You can work with your SPED students, you can work with your ELLs, and give them hints or show a picture if need be. Assessments can be paused and started again if students need time to take a break. Collaboration can occur at certain points, so if a student is being assessed and then the teacher wants to stop and allow collaboration for another portion of the assessment, that is able to do so with technology than the traditional pen and paper or what have you. Formative assessments can be combined if you want to formatively assess a student and then stop and then summatively assess. Those are the flexibilities of being able to use technology when you assess your students. Collaboration. We have seen this in this class, this current grad school class, I've seen it in almost all my grad school classes, is technology allows for you to create, share, edit, comment uh, through shared documents. This allows less individual assessments and more real world capabilities because you're working with a group like students should and would when they get into their careers. Being able to uh, communicate and collaborate with your peers is one of those 4 C's that we really need our students to know, that 21st century skill, and teaching them how to do that through collaboration um, is a great opportunity. When you assess complex problem solving skills, this allows students to use different simulations. My research has shown that many times it's been the math and science courses, but I'm sure this can happen in, in any subject. We can create these simulations, like I said earlier, for higher education. The medical students, the nursing students, your vet students can simulate a real world situation and learn so much from that instead of waiting till they're in their residency. Being able to step outside a traditional classroom is also motivating for students. Being able to role play and problem solve on a game-based virtual reality really does help students stay motivated, and they can relate to how they want to learn and problem solve through situations. Another aspect of technology and assessing through technology is the ability to give feedback to your students. And feedback is ideal because students need to hear it not just from an educator, but they need to hear it from peers. And this can be done not only inside the traditional classroom or building, but online. And this also allows students to not only work with peers in their classroom, but also you could easily access a school across the world. I know that some schools have sister schools, say in another country, Europe, or another country like China, England, Germany, where they work together and they work on projects and they give each other feedbacks that helps them become better learners. Also, feedback can be specifically adjusted for the individual student's learning styles. If you have a special education student or an ELL learner, you can work with them and give them their specific feedback depending on their learning styles and needs. Finally, the last one that I've came across, I've never heard before, is recording achievement through technology. Students are rewarded badges from their peers, and this is still a very new concept, and so there was not much research on this, but I'm anxious to see how this pans out because I do believe that it's good for peers to reward each other, not just solely adults rewarding their students. Next, I want to discuss the challenges of assessing technology. We talked about the benefits of them, and now let's discuss some challenges. first, we're going to discuss digital environment. Then we'll talk about assessing collaboration, data collection, and social exclusion. Digital environment. So many of the programs that have come across is that the game or designers have a tendency to focus too much on the game aspect and not how the assessment is. Okay. So students like the way it games and the glitz and the glamour of the game, but then the assessment doesn't quite meet up to the gaming aspect. There's been some disconnect between gaming creators and how they create the games. I feel like maybe they need to start talking to educators more about how to design the game. And this is not in all games for sure, or educational games, but this does happen often. Next is technology doesn't have really a good way to assess collaboration. When students are working together on a online project, there's not really a way to assess how Susie Q did compared to Johnny Joe. And more programs that I've seen, there's not much collaboration at all, really, in the math online programs I've witnessed. And a lot of the times they have the individuals competing against each other, which I believe that competition is a healthy and it's good. But if we want our kids to work together and collaborate, we need to be able to assess that collaboration. And some of the educational programs are not allowing that to occur. Finally, oh no, not finally, we got one more after this, but issues with data collection. So when TEA started, they started out just for collecting and focusing on data. And this still has some issues with this today. I know that a lot of us, when we took our certification, we took the online Texas course, and that it's easy. It's a way to get your score back quickly. And a lot of TEAs right now, that's all they really focus on is data and getting that data back. I feel like that that's good. Receiving data quickly is definitely a positive, but we need to focus more on being reflective and the pedagogy of teaching, and not just so much on Jimmy John and he got a XYZ score on his math assessment. He needs to focus more on his problem-solving skills, on how to work the Pythagorean theorem. That is what I'd like to see more in educational TEAs. Other issues, we collect so much data. How are we using this data? How are we storing this data? The ethical issues that I see with collecting all this data, and I can speak from experience because I've been in an SSI tested subject for about 13 years, is do we really need to know a student's gender and their ethnicity and their socioeconomic status, the ELLs, or the special education, what their learning styles and skills are? These are students that they're human beings with a heart, and sometimes I think and a soul, and we forget that they're not just a number on a paper. These are students that need to know that it's not just pass, fail, master, etc. We need to make sure that we understand that they're not just there for a score. Is it ethical for us to really keep all this data on them? Do we really need to ask all this information on their students? It's something to think about. Finally, I want to discuss social exclusion. This is a hot button topic. It is in our face. It's on the news every day. What happens in your classroom transfers to online. Bullying will occur. And I feel that bullying is even worse online sometimes. So when students don't feel comfortable and they don't feel like they want to participate in your classroom physically, they are not going to want to participate online either with their classmates, virtually or real world. Some ways to remedy this suggested is, and I know from experience, is make sure you build relationships with those students. Make sure you are remembering that they need somebody to talk to sometimes, and get down to their level and understand that not every day is going to be a walk in the park, but see what's wrong with them and what's going on. If they feel comfortable and they're trusted in that classroom, and they trust you, hopefully that will transfer to being able to work with their classmates online, and being able to really participate in a virtual class might even be better for them instead of in the real classroom. Sorry, going backwards. So assessment and technology is an up-and-coming topic, and it really has some interesting aspects, and I really want to make sure I understand what you guys use your technology. If you could please be very candid on the slides and the quizzes that I've put out. This is just for my eyes only. Dr. Putman won't see them unless she asks for them. I don't know. But I want to make sure that I have an understanding of where you guys come from. I know that we're using technology a lot in this class, and I'm learning so much, and it's been wonderful. Sometimes you get a little scared, but that's the way it goes, and I would like to see what you guys use. So please be honest, and thanks for listening.